So you figured out how to make a Uma that absolutely dominates the early race. However, for some reason, as soon as that mid race hits, it all seems to fall apart. Well, not to worry, because I'm here to share the secrets with you on how to absolutely dominate the mid race. So let's get into it. And we'll be covering spot struggle, rushed, position keep, speed up mode, overtake mode, general Wit Mechanics, and general power mechanics. When there are two front runners or two runaways in the race, a spot struggle can be triggered between them. Now it's important to note that front runners can spot struggle with front runners and runaways can spot struggle with runaways, but a runaway cannot spot struggle with a front runner. And a spot struggle can occur anywhere from 150 meters after the start of the race to the sixth section. You might not have heard of race sections before. I'll put a small graphic on screen so you can see which part of the race belongs to which section. As you can see, section 6 would be in the middle leg. And in order to trigger this, a front runner needs to be 3.75 meters away from another front runner they want to spot struggle, or if they're a runaway, that goes up to 5 meters. Now, during the lead competition, front runners will gain an additional speed based on their gut stats. It's very similar to the final spurt if you're aware of how that works. These are the formulas you need to know. So target speed times your 500 times gut stat to the power of 0.6 plus 0.11 meters. You don't really need to remember this. All you need to know is that more gut stats equals more speed here. Something important to note, because you are going faster, you are going to use more stamina. Remember, stamina is always going to be used up more if you are going faster. And also, during spot struggle, you actually have an additional stamina consumption multiplier, which is quite severe. So a front runner will use 1.4 times their normal stamina while they are spot struggling. A runaway will use up to 3.5. If you get rushed on top of that, which we'll talk about in a minute, it goes up to a massive amount, so you really do not want to be getting rushed during a spot struggle. And you may be thinking, is this useful? It is very useful. This is one of the reasons why it's very beneficial to bring more than one front runner if you're bringing a front runner cop, because you actually want to trigger a spot struggle because it will make you go faster, more distance, more win. Very simple. Let's talk about rushed now. Now, the rushed state is rolled before the race start. It's affected by your wit stat. So coming back to it, we're going to be talking about wit a lot in this video, and this is going to be the first example. So the exact formula is on screen now. For those that don't know what a logarithm is, that's just telling you the amount of power you would need to get something. So log 10, if you, for example, put 1 into it, it would say you need 10 to the power of 1 to get to 10. If it was 100, then the answer would be 2, because 10 times 10 is 2, and that's how logs work. Well, you don't really need to know this. I'll put on some screen some calculations for different wit scores to show your rush chance. So at 300 wit, which is super low, you'll have a 19% chance, or almost 1 in 5, which is terrible. At maximum wit, so 1.2k, that goes down to just below a 10% chance. And so what is rushed? So assuming that you have failed the wit roll, you will get a rushed randomly between sections 2 to 9 of the race. Again, I will put on the chart for you so you can see where that occurs. Basically, early game and early mid race is where this is going to occur. While you are in a rush state, your stamina consumption increases to 1.6 times. And yes, that can stack with spot struggle. If this occurs, you're basically going to outstam, which is really bad, really bad. Rushed also changes your Uma's position keeping strategy. Notably, front runners will enter a unique mode called speed up mode. For other positions, they'll just act as a higher mode. So pace chasers would act as a front runner, for example. And every 3 seconds while you're in rushed, you have a 55% chance to snap out of it. Rushed will end if it's lasted for 12 seconds, though there are debuffs that can extend this timer, and those debuffs do stack, so that can be a really, really big problem on long races if your opponent is doing that. So that leads to the natural question, what is speed up mode? Very simply, during speed up mode, you'll get a 4% increase to your target speed modifier. You can also enter it through a wit check if you meet the conditions, and those conditions are if you're 4.5 meters away from another runner, or if you're 17.5 meters away as a runaway, you have a chance to enter a wisdom check to do it. And I will put the formula on screen for that wisdom check now. So as you can see, 600 wit, you have about 35% chance to enter it. At 1200 wit, you're going to get an extra 6% chance. That's going to go all the way up to 41% chance. And the exit conditions are basically the same as the enter conditions. So if you're 4.5 meters away from everybody, you will exit it as a front runner. As a runaway, 17.5 meters. This distance will get increased with the 1.5th anniversary to 12.5 meters if you are the only front runner in the lobby, which helps solo fronts out a little bit. Now, speed up mode is sometimes referred to as position keep, and all you need to know about this is that there are currently 4 modes in the game. 2 are front runner exclusive and 2 are shared between every style that are not front runner. Since this is a front runner focus guide, we're going to be focusing on the ones that are relevant to front runner. So we've already covered speed up mode, and we're going to talk about overtake mode, but I just quickly want to clarify something. So most of the time we're in what's called a normal mode. Every 2 seconds we'll get a check. If we have the entry condition for a position keep mode and we pass the wisdom check, we will do it. This lasts until the exit conditions are fulfilled or after a length of 1 section. 3 sections for a runaway, that's all you need to know. So there is also, once you've exited, a 1 second cooldown, and then you will again have the 2 second check for a total of 3 seconds before you can enter a position keep mode again. So let's talk about overtake mode now. Now, overtake mode is one of the 2 other unique frontrunner only position keeps mode, and you shouldn't confuse this with the generic version of overtake, which any Uma can do. This would be something like the activation for Die with Scarlet's ult, which if there wasn't a generic overtake mode, she wouldn't be able to use it as pace chaser. But we're talking about the frontrunner only version, and what this will do is it will give you a 5% increase to your target speed modifier. The only entry condition is that you are not in first place within the same strategy. So if another frontrunner is ahead of you, you will enter this mode if you pass the wit check, and I'll put the formula for that on screen now. You might notice it's the same wit formula as before. If it's a runaway, you will not trigger this. So a front runner will not try and overtake a runaway with this strategy, but a runaway that is ahead of another runaway will trigger overtake mode. And the exit condition for this is just that you're 10 meters ahead of second place or 27.5 meters for runaway. And this counts Umas who have the same strategy as you again. And now we get to talk about my favorite stat, wit. Now, it's already appeared a few times in this video, and it helps us get better proc rates, better luck on our Uma, but also it just baseline affects your target speed. So each section of the race, again going back to the section chart, remember that, your speed, your base speed is multiplied by a random number and is added to your target speed, and the random number is directly affected by your wit stat. This randomness is not present in the last spurt, and I'll again post the formula on screen for you. So here you can see wit stat time divided by 5500 times the log 10 of wit stat times 0.1, and I will show you some calculations on screen. So you can see for 400 wit, you're only going to get a 0.1% max increase compared to 1200 wit, where it could give you a 0.4. So quite potent. And also looking at the minimums, as you can see again, a 1200 wit is going to generally roll a lot faster in mid-game. So if you're ever wondering why, say, someone with 1200 wit just has such an easy time passing your front runner, this is generally the primarily reason why. However, there is also something else wit does. it lets us enter downhill excel mode. So when we are running downhill, there's a chance every second, dependent on our wit stat, so it's our wit stat times by 0.04% to enter downhill excel mode, and that will increase our target speed by 3.0 times by the slope percentage divided by 10 meters per second. So bigger slopes will have a higher slope percentage, and it also, on top of that, reduces HP consumption by 60%. Each second of the downhill mode has a chance. Each second the downhill excel mode has a 20% chance to end. And then finally, very briefly, we're going to be talking about power in the mid game. We'll talk about it a lot more in detail in the late race guide, where it's a lot more relevant. But the main thing that's going to occur mid game is that when you're running up an uphill, your Uma will actually lose speed, and this is the slope percentage, again, times 200 divided by your power stat. So a bigger power stat is going to mean that you get slowed down less. This is really helpful on courses with massive uphills, because again, it's going to let you just push past slower Umas. And there is no wit check to enter uphill running mode. You're either on a hill or you're not, and it would just be affected by your power stat out. Right. And now originally I did plan to cover skills in this, however I'm going to separate that out into its own video so I can go more in depth on them. So that will be in the next video. And then we will be talking about late race. I'll probably split that up into mechanics and skills as well, and then specifically we'll talk about runaway. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm trying to grow my channel right now, so any engagement you can throw my way really helps out, be it questions you have or tips you want to share at all. It's all very welcome. I appreciate you for watching this video. I hope you look forward to the next one. Peace.